Hi, I'm Vincent. Hi. Just wanted to share a couple of thoughts on just what I've been reflecting on and what God's been teaching me during this time. I'm gonna bring you guys to Philippians chapter 2, Paul's letter to the the church of Philippi, um, while he was in prison. It says in Philippians 2 that in verse 3 and 4 it says, "Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourselves, not looking to your own interests, but each of you to the interests of others." And I think this is very clear in that what God tells us to do as Christians who follow Him is to not view ourselves as any greater than other people, to view others greater than ourselves and to think of them first. And I challenge you guys, especially during this pandemic, find ways to love other people, find ways to encourage other people, find ways to love your parents by helping around the house, or just showing how you appreciate them. And it's really clear what Paul says. It says, "Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit." And this is hard. This is really hard. But this is the standards that God holds us to. And if you read a little down, you realize whose humility you are following. Because Paul later on talks about Christ's humility, how he didn't count equality with God as something to be grasped, and he was obedient to death. And that humility that Jesus showed, though he was God, it's amazing just to see how much he loves us to even be obedient to death. And that's the humility that we follow. And I want to bring you guys finally to verse 12 and 13. I think this sums it up really well. All this unselfishness, thinking of others before ourselves. It says in verse 12 to 13, "Therefore, my dear friends, as you has always obeyed, not only in my presence, but now much more in my absence, continue to work out your salvation with fear and trembling, for it is God who works in you to will and to act in order to fulfill His good purpose." It's just the idea of verse 13. It says that all these things, it doesn't come from us because we are sinners and we would think of ourselves every single time, but it's God that works in us to even desire to put others above ourselves. But verse 12, I want to bring you guys, it says, continue to work out your salvation with fear and trembling. So Paul tells the church of Philippi, and even you guys, to continue to work out your sanctification. And that means many different things: prayer, reading. Just continue to fear the Lord when you sin, and just continue to spend time and continue to work out your salvation. But remember that all that comes from God Himself.